Hello everyone, you're here at Game Court with me, Judge Matt. Now, not long ago we sentenced EA to life imprisonment for their crimes against the game industry, but they're here to make a plea in the form of Battlefield 1. Before we look at the game though, we need to remind ourselves of their past crimes. Day 1 DLC. If you pre-ordered the game, you get the DLC. If you didn't, you have to buy it. If they have extra content readily available on release, then it should have been shoved in with the game. Secondly, they keep ruining my childhood games. I'd loved Need for Speed Most Wanted when I was younger, and no Need for Speed since has been the same. It's sad because they could literally create a carbon copy of the classic Need for Speed games, and they'd be better than anything they've released in the meantime. Battlefront got the exact same treatment. They buy out the studios that create the games and then taint them with their corporate mindset, halting the passion and creativity that created these gems in the first place. Thirdly, for such a big company, you'd imagine that there would be a lot of processes in place to ensure successful releases under their name, right? Wrong. SimCity 2014 didn't even work on launch. How do you manage that? That's an example of another franchise that they've managed to cripple. Okay, so now that we've seen a few examples of how EA have managed to gain that bad reputation, let's look at Battlefield. First of all, you've got War Stories. It's a new way of playing the campaign. It's split up into smaller sections following individual people. When playing through these individual campaigns, you can definitely tell that they've put a lot of effort into the voicing and animating of the characters. They've also added quite a few cutscenes throughout, which really set the tone of the World War I campaign. One of the cool things about having a campaign like this is that you can follow all different aspects of World War I. You're seeing different countries there, and maybe if you followed an individual protagonist through a campaign, you wouldn't really see the different aspects of the war. The only downside I would say though is that some of these stories do feel quite short. I definitely think I've had more hours put into some of the campaigns in the other Battlefields, but I still haven't finished this one yet, so maybe some of the later stories do feel a bit longer. In addition to War Stories, EA have also introduced a new game mode, Operations, a bit of a hybrid between Rush and Conquest. As an attacker, your objective is to capture the points. Once you've captured them, you push forward to the next section. The defender's objective is to kill enough of you that your tickets reach 0. Although each time a point is taken, you'll gain some of those tickets back. If your tickets do reach 0, your team will fail. Well, they'll fail that attack, because that's the thing. With Operations, you get another chance, but you get another 2 chances. The whole point is that it kind of adds some longevity to the game mode. You get another opportunity to attack again, and if you manage to push forward and take the rest of the map, you'll go on to the next map. So basically, in total, you've got 3 opportunities to try and win 2 maps, or 3 maps if you're playing the 3 map set. The second and third try, though, are made more interesting by the introduction of war machines. Now, the type of war machine you get differs depending on the map you're playing. Some maps will have an airship as your backup, another map will have a naval vessel with massive guns on it, and another map will have an armoured train. They've all got kind of unique weapons on them and different mechanics, but essentially they can make quite a big difference to the battlefield and help the attacking team push forward. In general, it seems like the defenders do have the advantage, but it might come down to the fact that Battlefield is quite a team-orientated game and you don't get a lot of people that are willing to work together. But defending, you don't really need to work together as much. Attacking though, you need to form a cohesive group of people that can actually push at the same time and overthrow their defense. Having a game mode that requires that level of teamwork is definitely a good thing for the game, purely because it allows people to play their classes properly. You've got medics who are striving to revive people because it brings your tickets back. You've got support people who are making sure that that ammo goes down, because obviously people do run out of ammo if they survive for a long period of time. Another thing that I am so pleased to see with Battlefield 1 is the return of planes with multiple seats in them. It's nice to be able to play with some mates, have them on the gunner seat or have one of them flying while you're on the gun. You know, if you can communicate with each other, it makes it so much easier to take other planes out, and really you can survive for a long period of time in the air with the support of other people. I mean, I have lost a few fights though with a guy who's flying a bomber on his own. He's flying around, then he'll go from the driver's seat to the gunner seat, shoot you out of the sky and then hop back in the driver's seat. So you can still manage to get by on your own, it's just not as fun. So let's just summarise what we've been discussing. First of all, we've got an original campaign, it's really well made. We've got an original game mode, Operations, which again is also very well made. We've got War Machines, which adds a new layer of gameplay and adds to the depth of the battlefield. And we've got multi-seated planes, which is obviously a personal favourite, but it's still quite relevant. It again adds to the depth of the battlefield. I hope you've noticed by now as well that the graphics are different to any other Battlefield game. So with Battlefront, we've seen an overhaul in the engine, a completely different look to the new range of games that they're bringing out. I was already impressed when I saw Battlefront, but it really translates so well into Battlefield 1. It really adds to the elements of gameplay that you're seeing, the explosions, the effects, the animation. I mean the animation especially, looking at the way you melee kill people, all of these different, stabbing, smacking them in the face, charging at them with a bayonet. There's definitely no faulting the crisp, fluid look to the game. These visual changes really come into their own with the explosions as well. DICE really have created an overwhelming feel to the battlefield. You don't know if you're going to make it from one trench to the other without being blown up or sniped. And this really comes down to the type of arsenal they've given you access to in this game. For example, you've got mortars, artillery cannons, anti-air turrets, bombs from planes, anti-tank rifles, rifle grenades, and there's so much more on top of that. And although it can be quite frustrating at times, I'm really glad of it, because you're playing a game called Battlefield. I want to see and feel like I'm on a battlefield. Sometimes I feel like the older games actually started to feel a lot more like Call of Duty in the manner in which they were played. In this game you can't afford to just camp everywhere. You will be spotted, you will be blown up by some random guy in a tank. There's nothing you can do. You need to play with the team, and you need to play aggressively and work together. One thing that's worth mentioning is the historical accuracy of this game. There was a decision to be made as to whether or not the guns will be realistic to this time period. The repercussions are obvious. If they are realistic, you're limiting the gameplay to many bolt-action rifles, and that doesn't suit a lot of people. I think that would make it quite boring, quite repetitive. If they're not realistic though, then you open the game up to more diverse gameplay and give people more things to unlock. Obviously that directly translates to playtime as well for people. They're going to be willing to put more hours into a game if they've got more things to unlock. I don't really blame them for that decision here, because there's not really much you can do. It's a lose-lose situation. You can't really say it's based around World War I and then have weapons that just aren't realistic to World War I. But if you admit that you've twisted the truth slightly for gameplay elements, that's fine. I mean, no one's going to judge you for that, really. Because of this, we've got quite a few different weapon configurations to choose from. Under Scout, you've got plenty of snipers to choose from, and all of those snipers have got different attributes to them. You've got ones that are scoped, you've got unscoped ones, you've got ones with bayonets, ones without bayonets obviously, and you've even got experimental weapons that use pistol ammo. So you've got some kind of interesting configurations there to get hold of. You've also got the usual support weapons, so light machine guns, although realistically they're not very light at all in these situations. They're closer to heavy machine guns in terms of portability, but again, this is a gameplay thing here. You're not going to be walking around for a whole game with a heavy machine gun purely because that's historically accurate. It just wouldn't be fun at all. But you've got plenty of those to choose from. You've got assault weapons, which include shotguns and SMGs. The shotguns are very powerful in this game. It's very useful to have one, especially for the trench warfare type of maps. And you've got medic, which are generally semi-auto rifles. My preference really, as you can see in a lot of the gameplay, I'm using semi-auto rifles. They suit a lot of situations and they're decent enough close range as well. You've also got the introduction of gas grenades and incendiary grenades. They cause chaos because obviously they deal damage over time. People have to get out of that space, so if you've got a building that's clogged up, throw your gas grenade in there, throw your incendiary grenade in there, people are going to have to react to that. And the cool thing about the incendiary grenades is once you've been hit by one, if you run around, you'll take more damage. The idea is that you go prone when you catch fire, and that will extinguish the flames quicker. And similarly to that, if you get hit by a gas grenade, you have a gas mask to put on. You put on the gas mask, you won't take damage from it, but in the meantime, you're not able to aim down sight. So you've got two new weapons with two new mechanics that you have to pay attention to with that. It's quite original and I quite enjoy it, to be honest. With such a large weaponry arsenal, you'd imagine that it would be quite easy to destroy the tanks in this game. But you're wrong with that, because tanks are very tough to kill. You've got the heavy tanks especially, they've got gunner ports on them, which mean any side that you try to approach them from, you'll probably be seen and shot down very quickly. You've got anti-tank rifles to deal with that, but those rifles are not very powerful. You've got weak spots on the different vehicles, so if you can hit a weak spot you're more likely to destroy it quicker, but a lot of the time you're not going to have much luck unless you combine with other people and all try and deal that damage to that vehicle. I don't think it's a bad thing generally. I mean, actually in World War I tanks would have been a big issue. They were very difficult to deal with, and we are seeing that in this game. It makes sense. And there's not too many on the battlefield anyway. You can easily kind of escape them and get away from them to avoid being killed in the first place. The way to unlock the weapons in this battlefield is to use something called war bonds. It's essentially what you earn from leveling up. Every time you level up you get a set amount of war bonds, and you can use those war bonds to purchase weapons for your class, provided you've reached that class rank. And you level up class ranks by playing as that class. So you won't be able to access all the weapons until you've played a sufficient amount of hours as that class. It's, you know, that's Battlefield style. It's always been that way, and it always will probably stay that way. It kind of encourages you to spend more hours playing the game, and that's fine, you know, you can accept that. But this game specifically, if not played correctly, can feel like it takes a terribly long time to level up. Firstly, this game is a lot more team orientated. Like I said before, you really need to work together, and as part of that you really need to take points. If you capture points you get plenty of XP, but if you choose not to go for any points and run around killing people, it takes a lot longer to gain any of the required XP to level up in the first place. There's also the introduction of medals to Battlefield now. Essentially you've got tasks to perform. If you can perform those tasks within the week, you'll earn that medal, and that medal will grant you XP. There's some examples on your screen right now, and you can see what I mean. They're good because they encourage teamwork, and they encourage varied gameplay, which allows people to play different classes, play different game styles, in order to get the most out of the game for themselves. Okay, so let's summarise again. We've discussed the excellent visuals and animations that come with the updated engine. We've covered the new weapons, including the gas grenades and incendiary grenades, and the medal system, which is an interesting way to earn XP. And all of these things, again, are very original for EA. They're not things we've seen before, and obviously doing something new is taking a risk, and financially taking a risk isn't always something that's going to pay off. So maybe they are listening to the gamers and really trying to reach out to an audience that are looking for something new and innovative. So what about launch issues? Did this game have any troubles with launch? I mean, it worked, that's one thing. I mean, you can't complain about that, but there were a few issues that people had. Some DirectX problems, various issues that stopped a set number of players from being able to play properly, as well as some gameplay bugs which really needed to be taken care of as soon as possible. But you never really know with updates. It could take a long time before you get all of those rectified. Well, again, we're looking at something different from EA. They've actually tackled a lot of things very quickly with their updates. Have a quick look in the top corner and you'll see the patch notes for the first update that came after the game was released. It's absolutely insane how many things they focused on within one patch. They've also showed examples of listening to the community. There was one issue with the game where if you're loading the next map, you're not able to quit the game. The quit button would disappear. And that's definitely an issue with Battlefield, because some maps take a long time to load, and after a game ends, if you want to leave, you can't if the next map has started loading. What are you going to do then? Go to Windows or Control-Alt-Delete and close the program that way? It's not ideal, is it? People complained about that, and they've changed it. They're actually listening for once. It's really quite impressive. Personally, I think I've spent more hours on this Battlefield so far than all of the previous ones combined. It is a completely different game to the other Battlefields, and it really does feel like it. It feels like effort has been taken to make sure that all of the elements of gameplay are there, that you're not missing anything from the full Battlefield experience, right from the visuals all the way to sniping the gunners out of airships. So we're actually seeing a fast response to problems from EA, something unheard of. We're seeing responses to bugs and issues on the forums and everything like that. It's like they're coming across as a different company. Oh wait, what's that? Sorry guys, 1 second. Okay, I've just heard word from the jury. They've come to a decision. It's been decided that life imprisonment is a little bit too harsh. Instead, though, we're looking at 100 years of community service. So good luck with that one, EA. If you haven't already, by the way, I definitely recommend getting Battlefield 1. It's a really fun game, and it's given me quite a few hours of enjoyment so far. And if you've got other people to play with, it's even more fun. So definitely give it a try. If you enjoyed the video guys, give it a thumbs up, and I'd appreciate a sub if you're interested in any other videos. I'll definitely be releasing more content, Overwatch content, more Battlefield stuff like some guides, and more game reviews, really looking at other companies, Ubisoft, hopefully the new Steep game when that comes out. So thanks for watching and see you next time.